Hi folks, I was given a lease forfeiture to attend this morning at 6 o'clock. So last night I did a bit of due diligence and took a look on Google Maps and Street View and noticed that it was previously a betting shop. It was a wooden door. It had two mortise locks, top and bottom, mounted on the right, and right in front of these locks was a long metal handrail running from the top of the door down to the bottom. This immediately raised alarms. Two right-handed mortise locks on a shop door where access to the to picking them or even drilling them was going to be restricted by the door furniture. So I got up this morning, 5 o'clock, drove through a blizzard for 35 miles and ended up outside the shop. And sure enough, on the door there were two right-handed mortise locks. I popped the earbud camera in and took a look and immediately noticed the chamfered curtain and the cutout on the hard plate to the bottom of the lock. Also a hint of a bronzy gold colour, so I knew immediately I was dealing with the ASEC British Standard 5-lever mortise deadlocks. And there were two of them, one top and bottom. So I got the, because I couldn't get the curtain pick to fit and tension the locks, there was no way I was going to pick. It was also freezing, my hands were cold. So I decided I was going to use the GJ ASEC leg pin and cam kit. So I got the plasticine reader key and popped the plasticine neatly on it, put it into the bottom lock, took a reading, and it was pretty obvious almost immediately what the reading was going to be. I loaded the pin and cam tool up. I wasn't sure whether it was a 1 or a 2 in the lever pack. So basically I took the without any pins in, the actual pin and cam height is a default 1. The lock didn't open, so I put the pin in, number 2 pin in the right position, and the lock opened. So the bottom lock went really quickly. I thought, great, okay, top lock, here we come. So let's just take that out. So then I put the reader key into the top lock, turned the key, took it out and had a look and thought, oh dear, that doesn't look right. So I did the reader key again, popped it in the lock, turned it, and the curtain didn't feel right. As I was turning it, it felt like it was going beyond where it normally stops. And I wasn't getting a decent reading on the reader key at all. I tried to guess, I loaded the pen and cam, I failed miserably. I thought they might have been keyed alike, so I tried the same code as the previous lock at the bottom. That didn't open it, so okay. Because it's the ASEC British Standard, or the leg, the actual drill point for these is fairly well documented, and it's actually straight above the keyway. And luckily for me, the door furniture ran down just by the side, so I stood the drill bit off in the drill quite some way, went into the door and punched a hole through the hard plate into the lock case, and then I obviously lifted the levers and got the open on the top lock. But it's really strange because these are very reliable locks when it comes to using the plasticine reader key, and it seemed really strange that they gave this particular one, the top lock, was giving me spurious readings. I couldn't quite work it out. Anyway, because it was a forfeiture, I had to change the locks, which I duly did, and then obviously got to bring these home to have a post-mortem on what exactly happened. And what has happened, the curtains on these locks are notoriously poor. They don't really take a great deal of tension when you're picking them, and if you apply too much tension, then you can't tension the lock anymore using the curtain. And the curtains are basically made of putty. But what I've noticed when I got these home is when I took this apart and rotated the curtain, normally the curtain would stop at this position and you would get your plasticine reed key. But what was happening this morning is it was doing that. As you can see, it rotates all the way around and stops way up here. So no matter how careful you are with the plasticine, you cannot get a reliable reading from this. You can have a guess by stopping it there, which is what I have done, and when I simulated where the key would normally stop, the reader key would normally stop, I did actually get a reading that I could use. But this morning it was just doing this. If you compare that to a lock that hasn't got a broken curtain, you'll see that this one has a dead stop there. It won't go any further, and that is obviously where the reader key goes, and that's where you get your decent reading on what's inside the lock, and you're able to open it. So really, having taken the cap off and had a look inside the lock, there's a piece of metal on the curtain that prevents it from being rotated, normally prevents it from being rotated beyond this point here. And what's happened is that that piece of metal is worn, and it's actually going past the point where it's normally stopped, and it's literally stopping now when it's hitting the lever pack. So the lesson here is, if you get one of these in the field and you find yourself with a spurious reading on the key, on the plasticine key, and it goes beyond that point there, which looks like it's probably about 25 to the hour, obviously on a right-handed mortise, then if it goes beyond that, then obviously the curtain is damaged and failed inside, and it's then not going to give you a decent read on the plasticine, and you may have to open the lock using an alternative method, or bring the plasticine reader key up to that point as a guess, and then look at the reading that it's giving you and work it back from there. So yeah, so it was interesting. Anyway, that's 8 minutes of gumph. So I'm going to pause the video now, and I'm going to pick both these locks. Right, here's the first lock. This is the lock that I drilled. And when you're picking these, there are several things you've got to be mindful of. The first is, do not apply too much tension or you will break the fragile curtain. And secondly, it's an H lever lock, so the levers aren't pivoting, they're moving up and down. And thirdly, with the ASEC and leg locks, all of the levers, apart from lever heights 1 and 2, have anti-pick notches, and all of the anti-pick notches fall before the true gates. So there are no anti-pick notches above the true gates. That's why levers 1 and 2 don't actually have anti-pick notches, because lever heights 1 and 2, because there isn't basically space to stick an anti-pick notch in underneath. So a medium tension, and then basically you just need to cycle through the pack until you start to get levers to bind, or the lock starts to tell you what you need to do to pick it. So let's go through the lock. 5, 4, 3. Nothing is binding at all. 5, 4, 3. Let's go to 2. Okay, 2's tight. Got a little movement on the bolts there. Let's go to 1. Okay, lever 1 is binding 2. That's lifted up, and I felt it kind of give a bit of movement on the curtain, but judging by the amount that it lifted, that tells me that it's gone into its anti-pick notch before its true gate. So we need to lift it higher than that. Let me just lift it a little bit higher. Let's go lever 2. Okay, lever 2 sounds like it's in its gate. 3. Okay, 4 has just gone into anti-pick somewhere. So the bolt jumped back. So one of these levers now is in its anti-pick notch. There we go. That's the lever that's in its anti-pick notch, lever 1. It's now tapping. Let's go lever 2. 1, lever 2. Lever 2 feels like it's absolutely solid. Let's back the tension off and lift it higher. Lever 1's dropped, so let's lift lever 1 up. Back the tension off again. There we go. That's lifted up. Ah, right, there we are. So we've got the first lock open. All of the feedback we needed to understand with the knowledge of the levers was there, and it was just a case of working through that. Okay, let's go for the second lock. So this is the one that opened with the pin and cam this morning. So again, I've seated the pick. I've got clear access under all the lever bellies. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cycle my way through 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. As you can see, they're all giving me absolutely 0. There's nothing there. That's very typical. Increase the tension to a medium tension and just work your way backwards and forwards, and you might just hear and feel the levers start to bind. But don't go crazy on the lifting, just give them little taps all the way backwards and forwards. So levers 1 and 2 are giving me nothing, but if you listen 3, lever 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, they're just lifting up a little bit each time, and sooner or later something's going to happen here. It's going to go start to give me some feedback. It's looking very random at the moment, but it is a method. So I'm lifting 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. You've just got to be patient here. Wait for the lock to start to tell you what it wants to do. Okay, it's getting there now. As you can hear, lever 1 starts to bind now. Right, okay. Lock's gone into anti-pick. Hooray. That now means that we can work out through the binding levers what lever needs to be lifted. So if we go to 1, lever 1 is solid, so I'm going to back the tension off and lift it up. So there we've got a lever tapping on there. Lever 2 is solid. I'm going to lift that up. 1, 2, lever 3, 4, 3 is tapping, 4 is tapping, 5 is tapping. So 5, 4, 3, 1. So lever 2 has been overlifted. Let's take the tension off, drop that back down a bit. 5, 4, 3. Okay, lever 5 is in its anti-pick. Let's lift it beyond that. There we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's giving me playing games. So now lever 1's gone back into its anti-pick, tension off, pick it out, nice tap. Lever 2, tap, lever 3, 4, lever 5 now is in anti-pick. Let's lift that out. Taking the tension off very gently, little nudges. Get that lever up where it needs to, where it belongs. 5, lever 1, lever 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 has now gone back into anti-pick. Take it out. Backing the tension off. 1's tapping. 2 is solid. Tension off. Let's put 2 where it belongs. There's 1. There's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. 2 is still solid. That might have been overlifted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, something's holding us up here. Nearly there. Okay, 1's gone back into anti-pick. Seems to be going through a cycle here. Let's just check. 5, 4, 3 is in anti-pick. Let's take 3 out. There we go. So 5, 4, 3, 2. It's just 1 now that's the problem. Let's lift 1 up. There we go, we got it. Wow, that was a little bit of a tricky one. But anyway, it was telling me everything I needed to know. I just had to find the right binding orders to get the lock open. But anyway, there you go. That's those 2 locks hand-picked. Well, obviously in a door it's going to be different. But yeah, H levers are nothing to be worried about. They pick really nicely. You just need to work the lock to get the levers to start binding. Don't apply too much tension. When it starts dropping into the anti-pick notches, then you know you're onto a winner then, because it's given you all of the information you need to know. An anti-pick notch will always be below the true gate, so just lift it up, work your way through the lock again, and you will get the open. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Bye for now.